Okay, let's go to the next one. Pavlo Moskalenko says, "Hi, my name is Pablo from Kiev, Ukraine. I'm looking for an opportunity to improve my skills and reach my dream niche. I work at an indie studio as an animator. However, I feel like this is not my bowl of soup, and I'm looking to improve as a character artist or as an environment artist. I have taken some courses, including main character creation, which you created. I hope that you consider me an eligible candidate to receive your feedback." Yeah, of course, man. There we go. Ooh, yeah, this is nice, man. Cool. So you got some cool assets. This is, again, this will be like midway between what I mentioned would be a very basic piece and a great piece. This is better because we are seeing the barrels in a little bit more of a context, right? Multiple barrels, there's a little bit of everything. I don't love the choice that you made for that, like, that element. I'm not sure if you're using some sort of reference, but just go the extra mile, Pablo. Just the extra mile. Floor, wall, some trims, some rocks, a table, you know, a little bit more of a nice illumination, and you have yourself a very nice piece, even though all of the assets are relatively simple, and it would just take you a couple more days. Same with this one. It's a nice piece, nice model. I need to see wireframes, very important. I need to see wireframes to know how you're approaching this asset. And do the rest, do the pillar, do the wall, do the floor. Just do a little seed, because a single asset, like an isolated asset like this, it's not the best one, okay? This is much better. Much, much better. Way, way better. Nice. I do feel some of the textures are looking a little bit too new, so I would try to play a little bit with the damage or something. Where are you rendering this? It says you're rendering in Unreal. I'm not sure if you're using the latest version of Unreal, because right now it looks a little bit flat. You know what I mean? Like it looks a little bit flat. So one of the things that you can try doing is adding a little bit of like vignette. Vignette might not be a bad idea. Give me one second. If we darken some of the elements and we just keep the focus on specific parts of the object, we can give a little bit more attention to specific areas. That could be an idea. Important here, when you're doing environments, one of the things that you do want to present on your portfolio are the individual assets, kind of like a kit. You show all of the kits so that you can see all of the different elements. Okay, and then we got some characters. Yeah, so that's the thing. If you want to be a character artist, Pablo, you need more characters. That's as simple as that. And we need to start focusing a little bit more, for instance, on anatomy. Here, it's a very common mistake that I see with arms. Arms are tricky. Arms are one of those like tricky parts of characters, and especially the connection of the forearm to the arm. They can be a little bit tricky. So let me show you here. You did a good job on the deltoid. The deltoid looks very nice. That's good. But one of the things that you're missing here is the pectoral muscle. Remember that the pectoral muscle starts on this area right here, on the clavicle and on the sternum, and it goes all the way to the arm. So we need to see the pectoral muscle crossing right here. So instead of seeing this line right there, we should actually see the line of the pectoral muscle right there. Okay, that's very, very important because the pectoral muscle goes towards the arm. And then once we have that, that's where the bicep is going to be sort of like coming out from. So in terms of like layers, it's always the bicep first, and then the pectoral on top of the bicep, and then the deltoid on top of everything else. Okay, and then from the side here, we're gonna have another little muscle called the brachialis, and back here we're gonna have the tricep. Which is fine. Again, since this guy is not extremely strong, the amount of like elements that you have right there is fine. But then here, we do need to push this silhouette a little bit more, because we're going to have a bunch of muscles here. It's actually 3 muscles. We have the brachioradialis, and we have the extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis. And those 3 muscles, they're going to start midway on the arm, actually. So they start really, really high, like right around there, and they go to the front of the arm. Okay? So they sort of like wrap around the arm. These are very, very important. And the reason why they're important is because they change the silhouette. So that's why I'm pushing the silhouette here a little bit more, so that we can actually see those muscles going in there. Okay? So it's just a little bit of silhouette that we might need to exaggerate a little bit more, especially with this kobold guy, right? Now, a lot of the props, they do feel a little bit weak. Be very careful with belts and things like that. We want them to feel strong and to feel like there's tension going on around them. So we need to fix this stuff right there. But then you did another one, and this one looks very, very nice. I can definitely see the improvement from the first one to this one. I still feel like the textures are very, very flat. I don't think we're playing a lot with like the roughness and some of the other things. And here's another element. This is another important one here for characters. Proportions, man. Proportions are very, very important, and we always mention this. They're the fundamental things, one of the fundamental things of characters. So if we measure the proportions that we have right now, I feel like the legs are a little bit too small. Okay, I don't know. Something on the proportions here, it's not like working for me right now, and I'm not exactly sure why. I will need to do like more precise calculations. But something in terms of the head, like the torso feels extremely long. Feels like we are ending the torso right around there, and then the legs feel a little bit short. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's proportional. I'm not sure if it's the camera, or if it's the character itself, or if the tabard that's making the character look a little bit too long, or maybe the belt that's a little bit too low. But something in the proportions on this character I don't particularly love. And it's curious because you are using the proper technique that I show, which is to use these planes to find the proportions. But something just looks a little bit off. A little bit off. I think it's the hips. Maybe the hips are way too narrow or something. But I'm glad that you were able to do the whole process, rigging and everything. Yeah, that's great. Nice. Yeah, it's a good character. We need to do more characters. If you want to do characters, do more characters, and keep in mind the stuff that I said. Like making sure that the anatomy is a little bit tighter, and especially all of the elements that they look a lot more realistic. Especially the belts. Belts can be a little bit complicated. Does ZBrush have a skin wrap feature outside of cloth dynamics? Skin wrap? What do you mean by that, man? Like a conform option? Yeah, we got the project option. Project option.